Hello, divine and beloved soul. Today we're going to talk about many aspects of grief. What grief is, how it can affect you, anticipatory grief, and that kind of grief that is not recognized by society. So, the first thing to know is that everything we're talking here is to be able to help us to identify what's coming so we can navigate what is happening. Because more we are aware of what's going on, more we can address and navigate and go through and move on from some emotion, behaviors, or whatever is showing. Everything I'm sharing with you has my experience and things that actually helped me to be able to navigate the loss of my beloved honey, my child, my poodle child. So the first thing to know is that grief is very particular. That means that it can change and be affected depending on religion, culture, and someone's personality. You might find people that live in the same state, even in the same city, or under the same roof that respond in very different ways to this process of grieving. And it is important to understand that. We're going to go a little deeper on these differences in another video, but it's important to understand that, to acknowledge and to know that people, even if they're from the same family, they might not be responding the same way. And when they have different cultures, they might navigate this process in a very different way. So, like we talked before, grief is a range of emotions. It can feel like a roller coaster. It is non-linear and it comes as waves. And not only emotions, but behaviors and thoughts as well. Emotions, they are what's easier to identify. And you might find so many different emotions coming this moment that you are dealing with this process of the loss of your beloved companion animal. You might find yourself feeling the loss, despair, depression, sadness, guilt, anger, and so many other different emotions. And it is important to know that all these emotions can come together in waves during this process, so you can navigate that. When you identify and say, okay, I'm feeling that, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm going to give myself compassion, acceptance, and love, because this is part of a process of overcoming the loss of someone that was so meaningful to me. And this emotion is just that. It is not permanent. It doesn't determine who I am. I'm just, pretending I'm you and you're having a self-talk to yourself like I do with myself, similar to. And you talk to yourself through it. But the most important thing is to allow those emotions to be, to feel them. Because we need to acknowledge them, we need to feel the feelings so we're able to move on without judgment. Love yourself, give yourself compassion, nurture yourself, embrace yourself, and allow what is coming to come up, because whatever is coming, it's because it's being released. So allow the emotions and notice the behaviors as well. You might feel that you are more sleepy. You might feel that you're feeling weaker or tired, that your body is behaving a different way, and you might even feel like, oh, I'm not acting as myself. And what? That is normal. That is part of the process. So as you Allow yourself the time to have those behaviors as well. Maybe you feel like exercising more or not exercising at all. We're going to talk about a little further down more into details on how to deal with that. But this video is for acknowledging what is coming, acknowledge what is happening, because that's part of digesting everything. Our goal here is not to put things in a box and pretend nothing is happening and not acknowledging or addressing the emotions and feelings and thoughts and behaviors that are coming up. On the contrary, is to be mature, centered and balanced enough to be able to allow these extremely difficult emotions, behaviors, and thoughts to come up, because you can remind yourself that they are temporary and they do not determine who you are. And because they're coming now, and maybe because they are very intense, that doesn't mean that they are gonna last forever. Everything passes in life. But also that brings us to another point, that because grief is very particular, people grieve in different ways and in different timing. So give yourself the time and do not compare yourself with other people who might be grieving the loss of your beloved companion animal as well. Give yourself your own time. That means that when you're ready to move on from these emotions, behaviors, thoughts, do that. And if you notice that they are taking too long and you're not being able to navigate them on your own, ask for help of your beloved ones, family, friends, professional help as well. Another thing you might notice are thoughts, and so many thoughts. Memories coming up, questioning thoughts that are connected to what if I have done that, what if that has happened, and so on and so on. The thoughts might be a little harder to identify, but more that you allow yourself to meditate, to be present, aware of what is going on in your body, emotions, more you can identify your thoughts as well. Meditation is key for that, divine soul. And more you are going to notice your thoughts, better it's going to be, because the thoughts are the root of emotions and behaviors and everything. So sooner we are able to notice the thoughts, and sooner we're ready to realign, reshift, reframe them. But it's important also to just behave as an observer, noticing the thoughts that are coming and reminding yourself that those thoughts are normal and they are part of the process. And if they bring up behaviors and if they bring up emotions, that's normal too. Allow things to flow through you, because that's part of shifting. That's part of changing our emotions and energy to another level, another chapter, another vibration. Another thing that you might notice, and that's connected to how the grief is going to affect. So there are many different ways, and I'm going to talk here about it affecting you on your social life. You might feel that you might not want to be hanging out too much with people. You might be more introspective, and that's totally normal. So give yourself the time that you need, and be wise in selecting also people who you are spending your time, because maybe not everybody that is part of your social environment might have something to offer to you, or maybe you don't wanna what people have to offer. You want to nurture yourself, or you feel that you need to be with someone all the time. So listen to you. Maybe you feel that you don't want to be alone. That's normal. Either way, listen to you and set the boundaries when you feel you need to set the boundaries, and remind yourself that you can choose to be your main goal in this moment. Another way that this can affect you is in your physical body. So you might notice that you are having a hard time to concentrate as you would before. It's not being the same. You might feel that you are sleeping different. You might be wanting to sleep too much or not that much. And you might feel that you're feeling tired. You might feel that you're feeling weak. Even your immune system can be affected, you know, because of all this sadness. So make sure that you are nurturing yourself. Make sure that you are giving you nutritious food, and it's not about quantity, it's about being nutritious and giving you the sleep that you need, and just listening to your body and giving you the time that you need also to be able to refocus and reconcentrate and get back on track. There are two things that I want to share with you here. One is connected to the emotions and behaviors that we talked before. And I'm going to share because my hope is to help you to identify, but it can happen in so many different ways. But a few days after Honey did her transition, we went to the grocery store, and I didn't feel like buying a lot of things that I usually would buy that are yummy food, and I just didn't want them. You know, I was so sad and I didn't. And when we entering the car, I just realized, and I told my husband, like, wow, I'm not feeling like eating. And one of the signs too, you might lose your appetite. I'm not feeling like eating. And the reason is because I'm feeling guilty of eating because Honey loved to eat so much, and I'm feeling guilty of eating while she cannot eat anymore. And it's important to acknowledge what's going on, acknowledging the whys, the emotions, the behaviors, everything, without judging yourself. So if you have something similar that you are going on, that you are going through, or maybe it's not similar, but you know you have a behavior and emotion and everything connected coming up that is totally different, and you feel like you're not behaving as yourself, notice what's coming, notice the emotion. It's okay to feel guilty for some reason. That's part of the process. It's okay if you feel like you're not behaving as before. That's part of the process. But acknowledging what's going on and talking to yourself or someone that you trust, and just, you know, bringing that to your attention is the very first and most important step to be able to handle it, because you are aware. And once we notice and address things with our minds, we are able to digest. Our minds are notice that we're ready, and we start to digest and move on that. And another thing that you might notice on how it's affecting you is connected to your spirituality. And I see two things happening here too. People might just, you know, dive deep in their spirituality and go and be part of their community because they receive support, either the spiritual support or the physical support in their community, and the love and the presence of human beings or light beings or both. But also can happen that you might be questioning your faith, questioning God, source, the universe, your guides. And if that happens, I know it might be a little bit delicate, but I would like you to not judge yourself. And that's why I'm going to share another vulnerable moment here, because my goal is to help you as much as I can. So what happened with me was that a few days after Honey passed away, I went in front of a mirror and I had a very long and deep conversation with my own guides. The collective of 7, the collective of 8, and the collective of 9. And the mirror is a portal. They're very powerful. So if you choose doing that, just don't spend too much time doing it. But I opened my heart to them, and I said everything that I was feeling, all my frustrations, everything that I was questioning. and how upset I was at them. Because through my work, I've seen animals and humans healing from small and big things, and I could not accept that something so important for me was not taken care by them. So that was like the main point that we were discussing. But I needed to put it out. So if you feel that you need to put something out to whoever, whatever is what you identify with, because we have such a diverse community here. That's why I give so many names in respect and trying to embrace everybody, because this message can be used for different belief systems and religions or non-religions. We have all of that here. You can allow yourself to speak and communicate with your guides, with your team, with your mentors, and do not judge yourself. And know that God and light beings and beings of higher frequency, they do not judge us. They do not have egos, so they will not feel offended. Yep. This thing about feeling offended and having ego is all about humans and the mind. They will not. And it's not a way of being disrespected to them. It's a way of processing the emotions, putting it out there, and they will totally embrace you. I am 100% sure, as my own guides, all the collectives did with me. They did not respond when I opened myself to them. They embraced me. They gave me all the love and support that I needed. And a while later, I was reminded of all the many times that I asked for their help when Honey was alive, and instantly they interfered. If it was for me, for her, something she was going through, or anyone around us, they had interfered instantly. And I could understand and receive the answers and the guidance that they helped as they could, but that was meant to happen, her death. But I would not be able to understand that fast if I had not allowed myself to speak out, to speak to them, and to address everything that was bothering me about our relationship. And that's what we should be able to do with God, Source, Creator, the universe, our guides, right? We should be able to have an open and honest conversation with them, judgment-free. And I share this with you, hoping to be able to open the room for you to allow all these emotions and everything that is happening to flow, because that's such an important step for healing, for acknowledging what's going on and being able to address them as they come, using our higher mind or inner wisdom, our higher heart, our connection with our higher self and our guides of light, and be able to heal by doing all of that, acknowledging, addressing, speaking, feeling the feelings, noticing the behaviors, what's going on. And that's all part of the process of learning how to live this new life in this new world that is not the world that we know. It is not the life or the world that we want, but it is what is the reality in the moment. And all of that will help you to be able to accept this new reality and remind yourself that the grief, the loss is not something that you need to handle, something that you need to do, something, a problem that you need to solve. It is a process, and it's navigating it, and it's noticing the waves that are coming of emotions or whatever wave is coming to you in the moment, and just being present. And the most important thing, loving yourself, being compassionate towards yourself, treating yourself as a beloved and loving mother would. Be your own mother. Mother yourself if you want conditional love. Another thing is that anticipatory grief might happen when you are dealing with the transition of your beloved animal, when your animal gets sick and you know because of the illness or their age they are gonna die. That brings us an opportunity to say goodbye and to have closure, but on the other hand it can be extremely challenging as it brings anxiety, the feeling of loss before the loss, and the depression, and honestly all the grieving aspects that we spoke in this video can be felt with the anticipatory grief before the death. And it's important to know that, because I didn't know that. I learned later, but now I do know that you can feel all of that and all these stages of grief that we're going to talk in the next video before that, if you were having an anticipatory grief. So again, give you the love and acceptance and judgment-free environment that you deserve. And the last thing we're going to talk is about unrecognized grief, which happens so much when situations like ours, we lose our beloved animals that are like family members or like kids for us. And many in the society do not acknowledge that, but it also happens with miscarriage or suicide and many other cases of death in humans, but we're focusing on animals here. And unfortunately, not everybody in the society recognizes that the loss of an animal can be as painful and big and impactful as the loss of a human being. And it's important to know that, because you can be present to evaluate if you want to address and how you want to address that. If it is worthy to put your time and energy in educating and setting boundaries, or if it's better to withdraw and just spend your time and energy nurturing yourself. Only you can tell that. Only you can make that decision if it's important to try to educate the person of how that is normal and how that is affecting you. Is it worthy? It is not. You tell. But the most important thing about this grief that is not recognized by everybody is to be able to validate your emotions. You remind yourself that you do not need anyone else's validation. Validate what you are feeling, facing, going through. Everything we talked in this video, you give you the validation, you give you the love, you nurture yourself, and surround yourself with those people who are open and ready to do the same for you. So I hope this video helped you. I hope from my heart to bring you all the support and help that I can hear, that it has been so helpful for me to be able to deal with the loss of my baby Honey. And if you have any questions or feedback, please make sure that you leave in the comments below. And next video, we're going to be talking about the stages of grief. So thank you so much for being here. Sending waves of love and peace your way. Bye-bye.